It is. Okay, so we'll start. Good afternoon, members. Once again, apologies for the delay in starting this meeting. It was unavoidable because the meeting of the licensing and registration got delayed. Welcome to this multi-location meeting of the Democratic Services Committee on Monday, 4th of September 2023. I'm Councillor Saifur Rahman. I am chair of this committee. Please ensure that your phone are switched to silent for the duration of the meeting. In addition, when asked to raise your hand, if members who are virtually viewing this meeting could raise your electronic hand, and for members in this room, just raise your hand. Just to make you all aware, today's meeting will be recorded. The first item on the agenda is declaration of interest. Are there any declaration of interest from members today?
I can see no indications, Chair.
Okay, thank you. There are no declaration of interest today. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 2, minutes of the previous meeting. You will see the minutes attached at page 3 to 6 of your agenda pack. If you feel these are an accurate record of the meeting, can I please have a proposal and a second to approve these minutes?
I'm happy to propose it, Chair.
Happy to second, Chair. Thank you. Bill Rogers and James Hampton. If members do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take it that these minutes are approved. Okay. Thank you. The next item is item number 3, which is forward work program. This item is for noting, unless members have any comment. Craig, is there anything you'd like to add?
Indeed, thank you, Chair. So just obviously to give members an overview, this is the forward work programme now for the coming civic year, which we find ourselves in. And you'll see a combination of the standard items which were required by the local government legislation to bring in, but also a few other matters as well for you to have something to get more actively involved in, and to obviously decide then as a committee whether you should make any recommendations or suggestions in that regard. So just a few things to highlight there. We built in some review of our e-petitions, public speaking and general participation work that we do as a local authority in respect of the democratic services regime. So we'll bring those documents to you with an opportunity to talk, see if there's any improvements you want to suggest or different ways perhaps we can do things. We're proposing a little bit of work in respect of diversity and democracy. So a few years ago, just prior to the local government elections in 2022, we did some work to look at what more we can be doing as a local authority to promote rights, religion, diversity and democracy, to give anyone the opportunity to stand for council if they wish to, and how we can target sort of groups of minorities on the council. So we bring that an update back to you there, and obviously we can look collectively to see what work perhaps we can do as a community as well. I'm also suggesting a little bit of work in what I'm calling harassment and intimidation, recognising that members face a number of different issues in respect of social media and various matters in respect of the community. So we thought we would bring some work in this regard to suggest what more we can do as a council to support, what some of the options open to you as members if you find yourself in that predicament. So just a general discussion specifically around those areas. If it's your forward work programme, though, is the matter I'd just like to add on. So if there are specific matters that you feel you would like to have included at the committee, please don't be afraid to suggest in this forum. You report to the chair or you report to Stacey and myself. We're happy to add any different items which you think would be of relevance or interest to yourselves.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Members, do you have any comment on this forward work program? Is there anything in particular that you wish or would you like to see on the forward work program going forward? Okay, none. Okay, so this item is for noting. So we move on to item number 4, which is Democratic Services Annual Report. This is on page 10. This will need to be approved today before it goes to full council. So are there any questions, please? Councillor Rogers?
Just draw your attention to page 16 of the report. It gives a list of the members for the Democratic Services for last year. And my name is missing.
So is mine.
No problem. Thank you for bringing this.
I have written to Stacey and informed him that myself and Councillor Rogers will.
Okay, we'll get this rectified.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there anything else? Any other comments, questions? Okay, I don't see any. So you can see the recommendation on page 10 of the agenda pack. Can I please have a proposal and a seconder, please?
I'm happy to propose, Chair.
I'm happy to second, Chair.
Thank you. Again, it's Phil and James. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take it that this recommendation is approved. Oh, sorry, apologies. Can members please indicate if you wish to abstain? No, okay. Now, members, if you do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take it that this recommendation is approved.
Chair, I can see no indication to the contrary, so this recommendation is approved.
Okay, thank you, Pamela. Okay, the next item is agenda item number 5, draft members training and development and seminar program for, sorry, these are on pages 23 to pages 40. Great,
I am teacher.
taking that? Yes, thank you.
Again, a legal requirement for the council is that we have to ensure the provision of relevant training and relevant opportunities for our members. So that is during the life of your term. It starts during member induction, where you have quite an intense period when we bring you up to speed with various sort of issues and matters you need to be aware of in respect of your roles as elected members. And this then continues throughout the duration of your 5-year term. We also though try to make sure that it reflects the needs that you as members collectively identify. So you may recall that earlier this year you were surveyed by our Democratic Services team, and as well as asking you for your thoughts and observations on a number of other matters, we specifically asked you some questions in respect of training and how you found the training to date, what sort of areas you'd like to identify additional training on, and then we would build that into a forward group for all members ultimately to consider. So the feedback to the questions we've received, we've included at Appendix 1, along with the then draft member development and training programme. So just to give you a short overview of that, it includes matters which we will always make sure you have annual training on, and that covers off things such as budgets, codes of conduct, GDPR, which are obviously very important functions, to make sure that you automatically get refreshers in that regard. We've specifically put some committee-specific training in place, which will be encapsulated then in workplace-specific planning committee, licensing committee, scrutiny committees, to make sure that you have the necessary skill set to be able to participate in those meetings. And that will focus on some procedural matters, some different legal obligations you need to be aware of, but also as well some more generic elements in respect of lines of inquiry and questioning skills. We will also look then to develop what we call some topical training, and that will actually tie into a lot of work maybe that we're looking at in various different forums. You heard me mention as a forward work programme about dealing with harassment, intimidation, and confrontation. So the work programme that we discuss here in the Democratic Services Committee will factor in then obviously to look at how we can make sure all members are aware of the different aspects. Some specific requests in respect of IT equipment and support. So obviously our digital services team will come to a sort of forward work programme session to look at how we can sort of support you better in that regard. Social media is always an interesting topic which members would like, and for those members who are on a standards committee, you know that we agreed to the forward work programme when we will look at the members' code and social media. And again, once we've concluded all of that work, we bring that back ultimately to members for them to be aware of as part of training events. We've included in the papers as well a copy of the forthcoming member seminars that you're going to have now for the course of the year. There are some gaps currently in the system, and you note then that we've included a couple of additional items ultimately to be built into that programme. So you see 8 items we've specifically referenced there on page 31, but you've obviously not even got 7 slots on the page 30. So we'll be making sure that we cover those off, and what perhaps may not be considered this civic year will roll into the early part of the next civic year at the same time then as well. So basically, we're going to be developing that ultimately now during the course of the year, but it's before you today for information. What we've also included for your information is the Welsh Local Government Association programme of support and development, which obviously is available to all members, and we do try to complement some of our member schemes surrounding that document. But if any members, when they're reviewing that, see anything which they think would be of particular interest for themselves or for the rest of the council, please do contact Stacey and myself, and we can make sure then that we are building those elements in to your future training program. This is an ever-changing cycle. We recognise that different things will often crop up during the course of the year, which we want to make sure that we are training you on and giving you opportunities to understand and then ask questions. So it's very fluid. If something comes up which you think it would be beneficial for all members to be aware of, we're certainly more than happy to try and program some sessions about that. But happy to take any questions, Chairman.
Thank you, Craig. Okay, I'll now take questions. Okay, I don't see any questions. Okay, I'll now move on to, sorry, James, did you?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I'll now move on to recommendations, and they are on page 24 of the agenda pack. Can I have a proposal and a seconder, please?
I'm happy to propose, Chair.
Thank you, Wayne. Okay, can members please indicate if they wish to abstain? No, I think, okay, members, if you do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take it that this recommendation is approved.
I can see no indication to the contrary, so this recommendation is approved.
Okay, the next item, item number 6, Local Democracy Week. These are on agenda pack page 41 to 46. Officers, would you like to add anything addition to the report?
Chair, so I'll just come in and explain to members that Local Democracy Week is something that takes place every year, and it used to be a European-wide scheme in that sense, and it still is ultimately to some extent, but obviously since Brexit, we now put our own sort of national spin on it, and obviously the Welsh element as well. So it's going to take place in October 2023, and we use that as an opportunity to highlight the excellent work, obviously, that this council does and the importance of participation in democracy in its various different forms. And perhaps the linchpin in which we base that piece of work on is the participation strategy, which came before members of this committee earlier on this year and was subsequently then approved by full council as our basis going forward. So we've got a couple of different areas. Specifically, we're going to be focusing on viewing this week. Some of them are very topical because they tie into some current priorities which we need to ensure that the public are generally aware of. One of those being the promotion of voter ID for some elections. So you'll be aware that Westminster has introduced a voter ID scheme for elections which are non-devolved. So that would be the UK parliamentary elections and the police and crime commissioner elections. So there'll be a requirement for anyone who intends to vote to produce either a form of ID such as a driver's license or passport, or a specific ID which they can obtain from our election service if they provide the appropriate information. There will be a national campaign, ultimately, which is taking place at the moment. You may have seen some signs in various places from the Electoral Commission, just making people aware of what voter ID means and how it impacts them. But we will be putting our own messages out there specifically during that week. However, it's important to add, we're not just going to be doing it during that week. This is going to be an ever-continuing element, but we will use the Local Democracy Week as a time to try and get some of that additional information there. And our elections team, led by Reece George, are going to be actively doing some work in regard to promote it. You may be aware that as a local authority, we've had what's called a citizens panel, which is currently made up of 400 residents from across the county borough. And it's basically there as a way of allowing residents to give feedback to the council's work, and it's also meant to contribute to various policies or service change. It can involve residents at a very early stage of decision making. So of course, when officers then are preparing policies or drafting them before sometimes they get to members, they've got an opportunity to hear the feedback directly from the general public. It's something that has been ongoing, obviously, for a number of years, but we're going to use the Local Democracy Week as a way to publicise the ability to take part and obviously ask for more people to sign up to the citizens panel, because it'll ensure the voice then is a wider cross-section of society as possible. As I said, it's in its fourth year, but it's an excellent opportunity now to want to improvement drive. We'll be further enhancing our work in respect of communications campaigns, so focusing on the political processes and decision making in the council. So you may have seen that we already do some social media posters for upcoming committee meetings and have people participate in scrutiny agendas. Again, we'll be using some tools open to us there. We're going to be linking in with some work that the WLGA have been undertaking in respect of local democracy. So again, making sure that we can duct in on some resources there. We are talking about videos of current councillors discussing why they became a councillor and a day in the life of the councillor. So any volunteers for that, we would be more than welcome to have you there. But what we also want to do then as well is use our connections with our youth there and our youth council to try and obviously encourage young people to become aware of what the council is and to enhance their knowledge and participation in processes. So quite a sort of detailed agenda we're going to be working on. So it's brought to you today for information, but obviously to hear any views that you may have as to whether you think there's any different approaches we could take, any other different organisations to bring into this scope. So I'd be very interested in hearing any thoughts that members may have.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Craig, can I ask the first question, if I may? Citizen panel. How effective is it, and how often do they meet? Do they meet online or do they meet in person?
It isn't an actual one online meeting in that sense for it. My understanding is they will be issued with surveys, they will be issued with questions, and it's all dealt with via email, and all that information then is forwarded back then to the officer who wants to use that particular information in that sense. So it's there about getting feedback about policies or whether there's a new particular arrangement that we're looking to put in place. It's the opportunity for officers and members to test some initial views and secure them at an earlier stage before they get into the detail of policy development. So it's there as and when required.
I understand there's a limit on how many times they sent per year.
So.
Okay, members, this is for noting. Any comment? Any questions? No, I didn't see any. Okay, so as I said, this is not for decision. This report is for noting. Okay, thank you. So the next item, agenda item 7, urgent items. I have no urgent items today. So this leaves me to say that I declare the meeting closed. Thank you all for attending, and once again, apologies for the delay in starting today's meeting.
Thanks all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.